Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast. This is the podcast where we have digital discussions in the worlds of social media, hockey, TV, film, sports, pop culture, everything really. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis, and on Twitter, you know me as PD Beats. I mentioned hockey as the second thing we talk about because we interview a lot of hockey players on the show. And we are speaking to a forward with the Tampa Bay Lightning in the National Hockey League. We are speaking to Mathieu Joseph. Matt, welcome to Popternative.
Thanks, Pete.
No problem. So, to kind of get started, I mean, it was your first year in the National Hockey League, had its ups and downs. But what were some kind of takeaways right off the bat from this year of your first kind of taste of pro hockey?
Yeah, I know that was fun. I mean, the end it kind of sucked a little bit, obviously. But in general, it was a great year. I got to play with the best, and learn a lot from guys that are have been in the league for a long time. And I gotta win. I gotta be able to change some stuff in my game to be better next couple of years. But it was fun to be part of that organization for a first year.
It's funny you mentioned, some of the players that, you got the opportunity to play with, like Kucherov, Stamkos, Braden Point, but, there were some moments throughout the season as well where they were kind of interviewed and, when you had a big goal or a big play, they were talking about kind of the speed that you brought to the table. What do you kind of think about, like, your speed complementing the Tampa Bay Lightning, Matthew?
Yeah, for sure. I think we're a fast team in general. I think it's our mentality and the way we want to play. It's play fast and move our legs a lot. And I thought the guys that just came in as a first or second year guys brought a lot of speed. And obviously I think I was bringing speed to the team. And I think it's one of my strengths, and I have to use it if I want to have success in the league. And but that's the good part about it is the organization was always pushing about the fact that they want us to skate hard and skate fast and push hard, and I think my speed was complementary on that.
Absolutely. You mentioned it briefly, and obviously we're not going to talk about it a lot, but you mentioned how the overall year was a great year. You guys had a great record, and then getting eliminated in the first round of the NHL playoffs. But that just kind of shows, Matthew, how hard of a league it is, the National Hockey League. It's a very difficult league.
Yeah, there's a lot of parity. Everyone can beat everyone. And we knew coming in that this series wasn't going to be easy at all. And, after the series, was like we didn't really realize that, it was already done. And, I think we tried hard, and we just didn't really have any answers on some stuff, and but the guys tried hard, and credit to Columbus, they were really good, and you can see how the playoffs are going. I think the parity in the NHL is very it's fun to watch because of that. And obviously the end of the year was disappointing.
And you try to stay with the positives as well. And one of the positives is that there's a lot of players like yourself in the Tampa Bay Lightning that are young and their careers are just starting. And so when it was the end of the season, did you kind of think about that a little bit? That the team does indeed, even though they did so well this year, they do have a lot of young pieces down the road as well.
Yeah, I mean Syracuse is doing well too. Did well season 2, and the young, like I said, the young guys as well. But I think the core group that's been together for a while, I think it's staying next year again. So that core group is important to have that chemistry right off the bat at the beginning of the season, and that definitely helps the younger guys and the guy coming in from Syracuse like myself or Cernak and Anthony this year. That it definitely helps to adapt yourself to a group of guys that been together for a bit, and but they're still young, So I think that's a good mix of having veterans and younger guys in your team that made a good chemistry all around your team.
I want to know, and you can't say your first NHL goal because it's too obvious, but what was kind of your favorite moment this year in your first year of the National Hockey League, Matthew, besides your first goal? Because I feel like everyone's going to say that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that was obviously pretty nice.
Well, you can't say that.
I know. But I think honestly, I think the first lap I did on my first game, not really the fact that was my first game. Obviously, that was something, but I think that first lap when I got to step on the ice first, and it was the first game of the season, which is big at the same time. So being the first guy and doing a lap by myself in the Hamley Arena was definitely something awesome. And I think another thing that I would say was cool was get to bring my dad during dad's trip. It was the first time I could do that, and it was in Nashville and in Philadelphia, and it was good to see my dad having fun and enjoying the National Hockey League. And as such a hockey fan, I thought I think he really enjoyed those moments.
No, absolutely. The dads, like, especially in the age of social media, I mean, they always take advantage of the dad's trip. We see all the content about that.
Yeah, I know. It's fun to see all the other guys too. You can tell whose dad it is just by their faces, and you can see the resemblance and what they look like a lot because their fathers are with us.
Absolutely. It was announced earlier today. Hockey Canada's roster for the IHF World Hockey Championships. They're going to be taking place in Slovakia. You were on that team. You were going to Slovakia at the end of the week, I believe. You have represented Canada in the past with the World Juniors, so it's I think kind of an obvious question to say like how important it is to represent your country. I mean, it's super important. But for you specifically, Matthew, why, when you got offered the opportunity to go, what made you kind of decide to go? What were kind of some things that came in your head about how it would be kind of a cool experience to go to Slovakia and represent Canada?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always an honor, honestly. I think every guy's going to say that, but it's always an honor to represent your country. And, the fact that we're going to Slovakia. I've never been to Europe too, so that's gonna be first for me. I'm also really young in the league, and it was my first season, and I'm gonna get to know some guys around the league a little bit that I don't really have the chance to during the season, and so together everything, like when you put every pieces together, it's kind of a cool experience, and like I said, I think it's good for my development. And like I said, it's always fun to represent your country too, and had a blast when I was able to do it at World Juniors. So I'm sure it's going to be fun there too.
Well, I'll go to that question. You mentioned the World Juniors. I mean, if anyone who follows the World Juniors, they look at the roster that was announced today, and a good amount of those players have played in the World Juniors. Is it safe to say that tournament has kind of become a little bit of a test as well? In terms of not a test, but kind of like an opportunity to represent Canada continue, because you're young, you're kids, but they see that as kind of a big deal when they look at who to put on Hockey Canada, because it's such a big deal, and you guys go through so much with the social media and all the stuff around it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a prerequisite almost. It feels like.
Yeah, I know, and every time you get the call, I think some guys have stuff to do and have long season and have some small injuries that not everyone knows all the time. But when the guys are getting that call, I'm sure everyone has to think about it for a bit. And some guys decline, like I said, because of some stuff that are related to their own thing, and it's their business. But I think most the guys who accepted to come are really happy about it. And I think like you said, most of the guys play for World Juniors. They know it's something to represent your country, and it's always a fun tournament.
It's a younger Team Canada. It's a very speedy Team Canada. Is that a testament to how the National Hockey League is just becoming, like they say, like a young man's game and a speedy game? Like, it's amazing to see.
Yeah, for sure. I think on bigger ice too. I feel like there's some guys that brings a lot of speed is important in this tournament, and I'm sure it's going to be one mentality as well, is to play fast and play north, and skate wall, and I think it's getting the mentality of the NHL. I think that the NHL is so fast now, and and it's hard to find to play in the league if you're not fast. And so everyone can skate now, I would say, and everyone can be good in their zone, and can bring something. But yeah, it's definitely becoming a more fast game, and I think everyone could tell by watching the games.
Another cool little storyline as well is you're going to be reuniting with your QMJHL St. John Sea
Yeah.
Dog teammate Thomas Chabot. Yeah, you must be really excited about that. I'm sure he is as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we saw each other during the year a little bit, but get to be together for a full month will definitely be fun. We had some great stories and some great moments together through the junior and at World Junior as well. So yeah, it's definitely gonna be fun. And there's another guy in my team, obviously Cirelli is going as well. So already been tied with him as well, being a young guy in Tampa's organization.
I mean, we talked a little bit about it when I was working the Q&A, interviewed after some games in Gatineau and the after St. John Sea Dogs played the Olympic. We talked about it. We'll talk about it now. That St. John Sea Dogs team that won the President Cup. I mean, that was just a special group of guys that just seemed like everyone got along with everyone. Not like forget the skill and the talent on that team, but just like the bond that you guys had with like even the staff and everything was amazing to see.
Yeah, I think I think you could go through not even just the players. I think the parents had a good time together as well, and I think I think the chemistry in our team was fun to see. Most of us are still talking together pretty much every couple of weeks, and I think it was a tight group, and we're always gonna be tight every time we're gonna see each other. And like you said, I don't think we just had talent. I think we had a good balanced group, and good balance of veteran and young guys as well. But definitely some guys that everyone's been in touch with each other since then.
A little bit of a non-hockey related question for everyone who follows me on social media. Sees that you enjoy other sports. You're tweeting about other sports as well besides hockey. How important is it for you in your opinion, for athletes, like for hockey players, to play other sports growing up?
Yeah, I mean, I think from my perspective, it was really important. Our parents were really we're really big on playing another sports, and when the hockey was done when the season was done, soccer was priorities. I think it kind of developed other skills than just hockey skills. And I think stamina or cardio and in soccer is definitely huge. That could definitely helps hockey. But developing your athletic, I think your athletic skills besides just hockey skills could definitely help in your everyday hockey day. So it was big for family, and we're also a sports fan in general. So that was kind of easy to to have that transition kind of.
And you mentioned family. Your brother Pierre Olivier is a Arizona Coyotes prospect. You guys are very close. Talk a little bit about how important your bond has been through, because you got drafted in the National Hockey League and you played in the National Hockey League. He got drafted. I mean, you were kind of able to kind of help him for the process a little bit. Maybe he didn't need the help, you know what I mean? But like you were kind of able to be there for him. Talk a little bit about that dynamic.
Yeah, I know. I mean, my brother and I have been so close since we're young. We've had the same lifestyle since we're young, and it's great to see him getting drafted in the National Hockey League. And his season just ended, and we'll see what's happening next year. You might play pros, but it's fun. It's fun to have someone you're close with that is going through the same thing. I think when something's not going that well, or when something is going well too, I think it's easy to talk to each other about it. And even if it's on FaceTime, or it could be just when we're playing Fortnite. So it's a good relation. And I don't think we'd be the person or the hockey player we are without that relation right now. And that's definitely something special.
It's died down a little bit, the Fortnite. Like, it's still around, but I feel like it's not as popular as it was a couple of months ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not a huge Fortnite guy, but I play sometimes, and usually play with them. And sometimes it's easy to have conversation too over there. So it's always fun. It's always a good time.
It always sneaks in hockey when I interview players, man. The video games always sneak in. Like I don't want to bring it up, but it always sneaks in.
Yeah.
With Shabbat, it was 2K. We were talking about that, like when he was on. It always sneaks in.
Yeah. He's a good Fortnite player too.
No, absolutely. One other quick question before we wrap up. I find you're in an interesting spot, and you can kind of relate this to your time in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League as well. But for example, you were a young guy, you were a young player that had an opportunity to play in the National Hockey League, put up decent numbers for your first year, and you're a young guy. And you're a young guy that's learning every day, and you're looking up to a lot of the players that are on your team or other players in the league and being like, wow, like, this is where I want to be one day. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you're a young player. There are players, whether it's in Tampa Bay, whether it's in Montreal, that are younger, that look up to you as well. And you're a young guy, kind of, your career is just getting started. And in the junior, it's great to see, like with the St. John Sea Dogs, all these kids that come to the games and watch you guys, but you're learning as well. Have you ever thought about that? Because it's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think in general, obviously, you look up some guys and like you said, you want to be like them. And I think it's important for me personally when I get some stuff from younger guys, or when I get to play against younger guys that I wouldn't say nice with them, because I'm mostly, like, in general, I'll try to be just nice with everyone, obviously, but. I think when they see you, and I was at their age, and I was looking up at guys that played in the NHL, and it was big for me, and I'm just trying to just doing the same thing that these guys were doing when I was younger, and I'm sure not just a prospect, but any hockey players that want to play. I think it's always fun to hear everyone's stories, and if you can be someone that can help others, reaching their dreams or reaching their goals, it's definitely something you want to do.
Well, for sure, man. Well, Mathieu, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. I know I've been bugging you for a while to get you on.
No, honestly, it's just been bad timing. It's been bad timing.
No, well, this has been awesome. Where can people follow you on social media?
I have Twitter and I have Instagram as well, and it's mostly the two social media.
What's the handle? Like, where can they follow you? Like, at Mathieu.
Mathieu Joseph 21. Yeah.
Perfect, man. Well, seriously, thank you so much for coming on the show, and all the best to Slovakia.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Mathieu Joseph and Peter Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.